Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my kitchen, Cooking with Gerald. On today's episode, I'm making green beans. These are homemade green beans, fresh string beans with some smoked meat and all the trimmings. To start off, I have some fresh green beans from the grocery store, which during the summertime, these are like the cheapest vegetables to buy, the fresh green beans. I've actually snipped the ends off of some of them. I'm gonna go back in and probably cut them in half or snip them in half and then wash them a couple more times. With that being said, the ingredients you're gonna need are your green beans, any type of smoked meat. You wanna do turkey wings, turkey neck, turkey backs, turkey legs. You can use that. You can use neck bones, smoked neck bones. You can use the smoked ham hock. I prefer the smoked ham hock if I'm not using the turkey. In addition to that, you'll need an onion. This is a sweet Vidalia onion. Those primarily are the only onions that I use. They have a much milder flavor than the regular yellow onions. I have red potatoes. Normally I do use russet potatoes when I'm making this, but these are straight from out of my garden. So I'm gonna use the red potatoes. I'm gonna actually peel those and cut them into quarters. And then also some fresh garlic, and then whatever seasonings you choose. I have my all-purpose seasoning right here, which has garlic, granulated onion, pepper, and some other seasonings in there. So to get started, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and chop up my onion and also mince my garlic and put that inside of a pot of water with my ham hock to go ahead and cook that down. It's gonna take about 2 to 2.5 hours for it to cook down to develop a good, delicious broth, as well as I want the meat to fall off the bone. So 2 to 2.5 hours, I'm gonna cook this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add the green beans in. I like my green beans cooked, as they say, to death. I don't like green beans with a crunch to them. I like them the way that you would actually find them when you purchase a can of green beans. So I want them that soft. So I'm gonna put them in the broth after 2.5 hours and cook them for about another hour or so until they're actually done. So let's go ahead and get started by putting the ham hock in this water. Turn it up on high until it gets to a boil. I'll go ahead and chop up my veggies. And you can cut these up or chop them up as large or as small as you want. Eventually they're gonna disintegrate for the most part because they're gonna be in the liquid broth for a very long time cooking. So it's totally up to you. also have a garlic press for my garlic. Which this garlic is fresh out of my garden as well. All right, so we have our onions and our garlic. I'm gonna go ahead and throw those in the pot. Some people, when they're making their broth, they just put the actual ham hock in there and that's it, or smoked meat. I like to season my broth because I like my broth to be full of flavor. So I'm gonna season it half now and half once the green beans get in there. And then also, we're gonna add about a quarter cup of butter, which is about a half a stick of butter at the end. And just a little salt. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and let that go. Let's come up to a boil and then let that cook for, like I said, about 2.5 hours. I'll go ahead and set my timer. And now we'll go back to the green beans. I'm not going to peel my potatoes until the very end because that's when I'll be adding them to the pot. All right. So just going to snap these in half. You can leave them whole like this if you like. However, I'm going to go ahead and snap these. I think I'm going to snap them into 3s instead of in half. Guys, so I have these all snapped. I'm gonna go ahead and let these soak in some water until my broth is done. And then I'll go ahead and wash them a couple more times and then add them to the pot. All right, guys, so I'm back. All All right, so with this bouillon, this is what I'm using, the Maggi. You want to be very careful because you don't want to put too much. This has a lot of sodium in it, and you can always add in, but you can't take it out. So there's 1 tablespoon. About 1 3/4 tablespoon. Okay, that's perfect. Because you don't want to put too much, because this still is going to cook down. The liquid is going to reduce down some too still. So I'm going to go ahead and put my green beans. Another thing that I do too is I'll make up broth like this, which I should have took half of this, which more than likely I probably will once these are done. And I'll take some of the broth and I'll put it in a airtight freezer container. So the next time I want to have green beans, I don't have to go through the whole process of cooking the smoked meat for 3 hours or so. What I'll be able to do is go straight to my freezer, throw it in the pot, it's already done, and then all I have to do is throw my green beans in there and let them cook. Because most of the time I either will do frozen beans or I'll take some canned beans, which this is actually a really good trick too. Take you some canned green beans, rinse off the juice from them, and then just put them inside of the broth that you've already prepared and let them cook for like about 30-40 minutes, and it tastes like you've been cooking them all day long. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna save some of this broth. This is gonna be a lot of broth left over. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put the top on this and let this cook for an hour, and I'll be back. All right, guys, so I am back. It's been a little over an hour. And here are our green beans. Turn the pot off. Just look how these are. Look at them. Look like the ones in the can, doesn't it? Then my meat, I'm gonna actually take this and shred it into smaller pieces so that it can be equally distributed. And taste. It's very delicious, perfect seasoning. Don't need to add any salt. Don't need to add anything. So this is it. Homemade green beans. You know what, guys? I forgot to put the potatoes in there. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put the potatoes in here and let them cook for like about 10 more minutes, and I'll be back. Guys, so I brought this back up to a boil. Turn it back down on medium. And I have all my potatoes. I actually like a lot of potatoes in my green beans. One thing I do like about the potatoes is that they do thicken up the broth. And this is a mix of red potatoes. And I also did go ahead and cut up one russet potato. These won't take no more than about 10 to 12 minutes to cook. What you want to do is put these in earlier, I'd say about 30 minutes after you start, actually 40 minutes after you start cooking your beans or adding your beans to the pot is when you're going to come back and add these potatoes. Also, what I'm going to do is add some butter. or margarine, whichever you prefer. He's gonna add some richness. This is about a half of a stick. And that also helps to thicken it up. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more pepper because I like a lot of pepper in my green beans. Black pepper, that is. The butter is optional. You don't have to put it in here. Like I said, it does help thicken it up and it does add richness to the broth, which equates to a tasting very delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the top back on. Let those go for about 12 to 13 minutes and I'll be back. All right guys, so I'm back because it's been 15 minutes and our potatoes should be done. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. Let me check to make sure. Oh yeah, these are done. Look at them falling apart. Perfect. As you can see also, or you may not be able to see, the broth thickened up. See how thick that broth is, how thick and rich it is. All right, so look at that. All right, so there you have it. String beans with, southern string beans rather, or southern green beans with smoked meat and potatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and plate this up and I'll be right, guys, and there you have it. Southern green beans. Look how delicious they are. Finish it off with a little all-purpose seasoning and some black pepper.